Lisa.
Hi, it's good to see you.
Let's head over this way.
I met Lisa at the Aspen Ideas Climate Gathering. She was one of the panelists.
Your story I find really remarkable because in a way it's so interesting. If you'll describe it, what was happening in Palo Alto, it seems like it was the city was trying to gauge things, you got involved, and then it kind of snowballed. Walk us through your first engagement and then we can get into what you're doing now.
Absolutely. So the Palo Alto, the city that I've lived in for a long time, did their first climate action plan back in 2007, and they were one of the first cities in the US to do this. Now, a climate action plan for a city is where the city decides to do an emissions inventory. They want to figure out what are the total emissions that we're creating as a city across all of our sectors. And then once they have that inventory, then they set a goal of how much they want to reduce, and then they look at policies and different ways to reach that goal. So after our city completed their plan, they did something really forward-looking. They held a community meeting, and they brought the community into the conversation and said, hey, we did this plan, and this is our emissions, and this is how much the city's emitting, and this is how much is coming from other sectors. But the city only controls 8% directly of the emissions through the city vehicle emissions, city building emissions, through our landfill. So the city was only controlling 8% directly. And so they said, in order for us to really get there and reduce emissions, we have to have the community be part of this conversation. All of us have to do something. It was an all hands on deck conversation, and that really resonated with me. And so what they did, they didn't come to us with a program, they actually came to us with an ask, and they said, we're looking for volunteers that will help us to create teams to work with different segments of the community to help us start to learn about how we can take action.
Lisa is the founder of BrightAction, a company that creates software tools with the mission of empowering people on climate solutions.
So tell us about BrightAction.
So BrightAction is a platform that helps to facilitate engagement on climate solutions. So 40% of our US greenhouse gas emissions come from 5 basic household activities that we do every day. That is something that a lot of people, most people are not aware of this. So our use of electricity at home electricity use, our use of heating fuels like natural gas, our transportation, our food, and our waste, what we throw in the garbage. Those 5 things make up 40% of US greenhouse gas emissions. It's huge.
Okay, so I live down the street from you, and one of the neighbors just came by and said, oh my God, you gotta hear about BrightAction, it's fantastic. And then I say to you, how does it work? How am I going to use BrightAction? And the answer is?
It's a platform that facilitates engagement programs on climate solutions. So when we work with a city, we set up the platform. So when I was working in Palo Alto, and I was doing this as a volunteer, we would get folks together and neighbors, everybody wanted to know about solutions, but we didn't have a really easy way for people to just go and sign up and find all that information. So BrightAction is a platform that does that. So when you go to the BrightAction platform, you can answer a few questions, and we can help you learn out kind of where your opportunities to make a difference are based on your particular household. And we have an incredibly robust carbon calculator that gives the user a very personalized information around the impact and the savings opportunity for every action they can take, so they can make really good choices about which actions to take in their household and when to take them. And so you answer a few questions and you get to see the actions. You get to see, if I take this action, this will be my impact, this will be my savings, but you also get a chance to watch some videos, learn about the solutions pathway, how that relates to your household. And then most importantly, the platform is designed to support people working together in community with each other, in teams, in groups. So usually people do not come to BrightAction just by themselves to do this. They usually come because they were invited by their book club, or the Girl Scout troop does it together, or the faith community does it together, or the Rotary Club does it. We've worked with all different kinds of groups where they come and they create a group and they're all learning together, they're all taking actions, they're chatting with each other, they're sharing updates on, what are you working on, or I'm stuck on this, does anyone know how to do this, or which contractor did you use for that? And that is what BrightAction really does, is it creates not only information to make it simple and easy to find solutions, to learn about solutions and what to do, but also to connect you, to have that supportive community to work with while you're taking action, and to have that conversation, which is really fundamental to really encouraging people to follow through and actually complete their actions.
The U.S. Department of Transportation is proposing that states and metropolitan areas measure the amount of carbon dioxide being released through driving on interstate highways and other major roads. This will push state and local officials to set targets to reduce emissions in the coming years, using 2021 as the baseline.
I was watching one of the sessions and somebody said, when you look in the mirror in the morning and you say to yourself, is there anything I can do? You can do something, that there is power in each one of us. And that's sort of what I hear when I listen to you.
Absolutely. We all have power. We all have agency to really make a difference. And for me, I've been working with people for a long time as a community organizer. I've worked with thousands of people across many different communities. And I truly believe in people. People really care and they really want to help. And so if we're able to really help people understand and learn what the solutions are and how they can be part of this, part of really making a difference, I really believe that we'll be able to move this forward and address climate change.
It's so interesting. Yesterday I was having a conversation with somebody over lunch and they were talking about, China and India and the United States, they have to do more to hit their targets. And we hear about COP26, and that's that top-down mentality. But I've been hearing a lot of bottom-up. You're bottom-up. I talked to the mayor here. Yeah. That's, a mayor in a local community. That's bottom-up. It has to come both ways, doesn't it?
Well, actually, a lot of people say, what about China? But the average impact of a U.S. resident in those 5 household categories of emissions is about 10 tons a person. For China, it's like closer to 1. So if you're looking at a per person impact, our impact here in the U.S. is vastly, it's double someone in the UK. So if we're talking about the total emissions for a country, that's different. But if you're looking at our individual contributions here are much, much larger, which means that we have a much larger opportunity to make a difference here that will really, really create an impact, not only for ourselves and in our homes and in our lifestyles, but globally.
There's something about climate change, though, and I hope you'll talk about this, because the mayor also said he didn't want this conference to be gloom and doom. But there is this gloom and doom aspect that, there's nothing we can do, or it's like we're handcuffed, and it's, again, the governments need to do more. But we all have a role to play, and I think that's, and that's how you kind of reduce not just our carbon footprint, we also reduce our gloom and doom once we take action. I mean, can you talk about that?
That is exactly it. And that's what we talk about all the time. This is an all hands on deck moment. Reducing 50% of our emissions by 2030 is not something that's going to happen if we wait for one person or one government, to fix it. It's going to take all of us taking action. It is incredibly important that we have policy. We need to keep pushing for policy. There are many things that are going to be a challenge to fix. There are about 20% of our emissions globally are problems that require new technology or policy or things to really move that forward. Policy is so important. Companies taking action, incredibly important. Not only greening their own and reducing their own climate impact of their operations, but also downstream to help their suppliers to also reduce their carbon footprints. Incredibly important. But all of us as individuals in our daily lives and our household activities, we also have such an opportunity to make a difference, 40% of emissions. So we can all take action today, and that will really help because we can do the things that we're able to do today that are affordable, that will save us money. They're going to help with our health. They're going to create local jobs. There's no reason for us not to be doing this right now.
Well, we spent some time talking about energy. You've left us energized. Can't thank you enough. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity.